welcome to Bookmark Conversation. This is my episode 7, and what an honor and such a pleasure to have you in the show today. So thank you so much for making time, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation with you today to get to know you a little bit better. Okay, okay. Okay, it's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. So, first things first, I just want to say thank you so much for donation for the books. They are here behind me on my shelf. And our first meeting for 2025 is coming soon. And the ladies cannot wait to come in and start reading the books. So, you'll start getting feedback on your social media from the ladies as soon as they start reading now. In February, they'll start reading your book in February. So you'll start getting a buzz from that side, from our, on our end. So yeah, so very, very excited and thank you again for the gesture. Okay, so I think I will just kick off. You were in South Africa recently. You travel a lot, right? So you were here in South Africa in December. How was your stay? How often do you come to South Africa as well? How often do you come to our country?
Bear with it because the communication gaps are coming because of this net maybe.
Yes.
Coming back to your question, Penny, I do travel a lot, and for South Africa, fortunately, this was my first visit. I have never been to South Africa,
Oh,
and
wow.
this time I planned that I have to go to South Africa because that's somewhere where I always heard such good literature related news, and such big authors have emerged from the soil of Africa, and including South Africa. So I always fantasized and to visit it, and luckily my husband, who's a cricket celebrity, he was telling me that you are so huge fan of Nelson Mandela. But in 92, I think he had the opportunity to meet Mr. Nelson Mandela. Your land is my favorite land, but in the last December was my first visit, and I'm so happy that some of your libraries, including Sandenton Library and some of your other literary organization and ambassadors, have given me such warm welcome. And Sandenton Library has, had a big chunk of my books, and they actually celebrated me. And the way you people have welcomed me, you and other literary organizations, it was such a pleasure and wonderful experience that I'm looking forward to get another chance in future and make it persistent journey and the part of my literary journey.
So, Farzana, you are the first historical poetess. I've never heard the concept before. The first time I met you, that was the first time I read about you. So, how did you come up with that concept? Turn the idea of history into poetry. How did you come about that idea?
Look, Penny, I always, this English poetry is actually, it's not an ordinary gift. The moment I have realized that this gift is very unique, and across first I thought that this is unique in Asia, because English poetry is kind of a dormant culture. Very few students were taking interest into it, and it was, repeatedly from the mid 18th century, after mid 19th century and 18th century, no big name in English poetry emerged from Asia. The old names from like Shakespeare and other names were repeatedly being amphilled, repeatedly being taught in the universities. I initially thought that this is I am unique in Asia. But when I started writing this English poetry, and the quality emerged, and people started from Africa, from Europe, from all over the world, people started admiring me into various literature groups. I realized that my poetry has a very strong power, And when I started writing, it came like the torrent, it came like a flood. And I was, overwhelmed. I never anticipated that this gift was so deeply hidden inside me. And, when I wrote 60 books, and, now almost 10 more books are written, and we are going to soon launch it. With this launch, it will become 70 books, highest in the world. And these books you have seen, you have in your shelf, that there's a full volume books, 160 pages, 200 pages. They could have been 100 pages as per tradition of English poetry, but my books are solid, more than 15,000 poems. So once I wrote this, I was in a meeting in UAE, because we lived in UAE, so I have quite diplomatic circle. And one of our Arab diplomatic friends suggested that you are such good poetess. Why don't you write about Islam? Why don't you write about the culture of Islam into English poetry? Because there are so many misconceptions about the Holy Prophet, and there's so much, bad writing emerging from the Europe side. So when I realized this and I thought to write about it, so I didn't want to praise the prophet. I didn't want that all the poems should be in the reverence or in the praise. I wanted to bring facts. So when that thought came into my mind, I decided to write history, the entire history of Islam from the pre-Islamic era till up till today's times. Then that was a difficult task, if you ask me, because in random poetry or in creative poetry, we poet add whatever we want to add. But in history poetry, you are confined into the box of the history. You cannot add anything from your side, or you cannot take out anything. So it was a difficult task, but how it accomplished, believe you me, like my unique gift of poetry, we just had I wrote 3 books of history. One is the heritage culture of Islam, one is the history of UAE on the request of UAE friends, and one is history of Islam, totally different. So these 3 books, bright and true side of the history, on the sad side of the history, everything is genuine and realistic, based on the realistic events of the history. This miracle happened. This miracle happened, and this miracle happened, and I am not going to write the history of Christ. I'm going to write the history of Buddha, because I'm very impressed from Buddhism also. I'm very impressed from Christianity and the role of Jesus Christ. So my next books would be about the Christianity and the history of Christianity, and about the history of Buddhism. So I decided that I will now, after giving random 60 books of my poetry, of my thoughts, creative thoughts, now I will emphasize on writing history of the world. So 3 books are already written. So next would be, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you started writing poetry in 2020, and you've released so many books. That is
Yes,
amazing. And I would like to, why I'm asking this? Because I meet so many writers, and then I will ask them how long it took for them to write a specific book. And some will tell me it took them a few years. And you have written 60 to 70 books in such a short time. Where do you get your inspiration to write? I'm very intrigued about that.
yes, this question is often asked, and people are actually don't they sometimes don't believe. They say, do you repeat? Most more often, people ask me, do you have a repeated poems like other poets? They in a different edition they add their previous poems also. And I said, not even a single poem is repeated in any of my 70 books.
Wow.
Every book has its unique poems, because this treasure a trove of poetry is coming like a torrent and like a blessing of God. You see, my literary journey is actually expanded over the last 3 decades. My first book of Urdu poetry in our own language came at the age of 18, when I was in my college. I wrote 4 to 5 English novel and short stories, which every book took 4 year or 3 year to accomplish. My novels were bestsellers among the communities. in Muslim community in Europe, in America, because I write true stories and research-based novel. In novel also I write history. Few of my novels are on the true events of history. I wrote 6 to 7 books of Urdu poetry. So this journey was over last 3 decades. But I did not realize until 2020, with the advent of Corona, I used to write English poetry in my college magazines, seldomly in my school magazines as fun.
Yes.
But I never seriously worked on it. When this Corona pandemic happened and we were all quarantined in our places, I thought, let's talk to my Canadian friends or American friend or Australian friends. I have lots of English literature groups. So I thought, okay, I must write poetry because they understand English poetry. So I must write in my poems, and I share my poems with them. So I started sharing my poems, and suddenly I realized that threads are going on, and people started inquiring about me.
Yeah.
Many random people said, "Who's this poetess? Such lovely poems. Who's this? Who is this?" When I saw in different groups that such overwhelming response, I was in fact taken aback. And one day, on my messenger, I got from the ex-minister from the India, on the messenger. He sent one of my poem and my quotation, and in the group he also wrote that better than Toni Morrison. When this compliment came, I was jolted, because at the subconscious mind, my one of my favorite author and writer who has, given inspired me so much in writing, that is Toni Morrison. When that compliment came, that her quotation and the poem and this thing is better than Toni Morrison, and then he made the comparison, then that moment was a turning point in my life, and I started sharing more poems. The more I wrote, the more poems started coming to the canvas of my
Yeah.
brain. And you don't believe that I started writing. Once I start moving my pen, or still up till now, I start writing, and until I don't stop intentionally, I put my pen down. I write one word and it happens a poem. I
Yeah.
write one line and it happens a poem. I don't know from where these ideas are coming. Initially, I was scared to say that this is automatic writing style. I was scared that people probably would make fun of me. People would say probably this woman is, praising herself or trying to prove something. So
Yes.
I didn't say this. But now, after writing 60 plus books, I now bluntly and confidently started saying that, listen, this gift is not an ordinary gift. This is kind of automatic writing, because when I accomplish 2 or 3 books in a month, or initially there were 3 books in a month, they were about 500 plus poem in a month. Now I gradually traveling, that momentum. So now I every day write 10, 12 poems, because I'm very busy. But if today even I sit down and I start writing, and I don't, sometimes there was a time when I used to say to my husband that please just take me out of my room, because I am going to get mad, because this is so much is
It's
coming and
not
I don't want to
coming.
stop. It's coming. And then one of my friends said that, if you heard about the Pablo Picasso and other painters, they used to paint and throw their paintings like you do. And then Pablo used to say that, please give me some drink, some wine or beer, I want to divert my attention. So, this creativity which comes like a miracle, it's unexplainable. And a common mind, a struggling writer or a writer with less creativity, for regular people, it's very difficult to even understand
Yes.
what we are saying. They don't believe. They say, we don't believe. How come a person can write 3 books in a month? Or how come a person write 500 poems in a month? This is, yes, if I was not myself, maybe if I was not a poetess and gifted one, probably I would have, asked this question. This is actually for a common man, common reader. This phenomena is not a common phenomena, actually.
Sure, it's not. And you don't, it means you do not hit the writer's block. You've never had that, the block where what exactly? You just explained it to me now. That was going to be my next question to you. That do you ever reach a writer's block? And for you, it's never been. It just keeps flowing, like you are saying. That's
Yeah, I'm
amazing.
scared. I have a fear, Penny. This fear is inside me that if I will take a break, maybe this gift stop coming.
Yes.
So that fear makes me like a student. Every day I get up from my breakfast.
Yeah.
Every day from my breakfast, I
Yeah.
get up like a student, and
Mm.
I sit in my library at my home, and I from my breakfast till my lunchtime, and
Yes.
my chef keeps on serving me coffee or tea on my table. And at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock at lunchtime, when they say lunch is served, ma'am, I get up. I'm so scared. Maybe it's a fear that once I'll stop writing, maybe this
Maybe it will
miracle will
go. Oh
close
my
its door
God.
on me. so, so I am like a student, like
Yes.
religiously following this thing. And this is like a ATM. There's so much greed inside me. I want to take out more from this ATM of mind, whatever the divine and universe is sending me. So I am a
Yes.
very disciplined student. That is why.
That is why. My next question to you is you've lived in Pakistan, you've lived in Dubai, you've stayed in Canada as well. How would you say the culture there in those different countries have influenced your writing style? The way that you are writing, how has it been influenced by you staying in these different countries? Because they are different in terms of their lifestyle and their cultures as well. How has that impacted your writing, you know?
Um, yes, it's a beautiful question. I think for writing, people are born with the gift of writing, many of us. But then again, it's a question of discipline and then how we attain knowledge. The more we attain knowledge and the more observant we are of our circumstances and our environment, the
Mm.
more knowledge we attain. And that subconscious, in the subconscious mind, that knowledge is definitely providing us the source of more creativity.
Yes.
For instance,
Absolutely.
unconsciously, not consciously, if I recall, I was a student, I studied in Canada. I don't live in Canada now, though that was my student life, where I, after high school till my master's, I studied in Canada and I visit Canada. I don't live there. But between Dubai and Pakistan, I have a home in Dubai and in Pakistan also. Uh, and my husband is a cricketer, a famous celebrity of cricket game.
Yes.
So the traveling happens a lot. So since last 25 years, my suitcase are bagged. So I have seen all the Africa. I have seen almost more than half of the world. But I believe that when creativity come into me and when I write novels or when I write poetry and I want to visualize something, if I want to be into the Muslim culture, I have vast knowledge of Muslim environment. If
Mm,
I
exactly.
want to dream about the Buddhism, Sri Lanka, another Buddhist country, I have a vast knowledge of Buddhism. If I think about Christianity or European countries, I have vast knowledge about their day-to-day life. So these cultural treasures, which unconsciously my brain has scanned over the years,
Mm.
definitely they are subconsciously helping me in creative
In
writing.
shaping your writing as well to what it is. That's beautiful.
Yes.
You are not only a novelist or a writer, you are also a philanthropist and a woman activist. I just want to find out in terms of your writing, how does that come about? You know, how does that whole circle come together in terms of your writing beautifully, beautiful things, beautiful poems? I had a glimpse and I'm like very, like excited to read. So I just want to ask you that question that as you are busy doing that work, your philanthropist work, women activists, you are a writer, in your own rights. How is that all coming together for you to produce what you're producing?
Actually, when it started, Penny, actually it started with the philanthropy work. With in my youth times when I joined journalism, I was very young, immediately after my university. or before my university, I started human rights works in Pakistan, and I was the Secretary General of Human Rights Society and Commission of Pakistan. That
Mm-hmm.
was a huge post given to a young girl of 18 years.
Yeah.
When I was working with the human right and journalism, many cases of women, plight of women emerged. Women were tortured, harassed. Their sad stories, their socially, the menace, the way people were,
Mm.
harassing
Mm.
them at workplaces, at their home. They were, being target of all kind of, social injustice. That deeply, affected my young brain actually. And I used to visit to the villages and short communities, and women used to come to me seeking help from the
Yes.
human rights. So those many stories, piled up stories and narratives, made me very sad. When I wrote my first novel, that was A Thousand Obelisk Coin, which novel is still, when I read that novel, I start crying. And I
Crying.
remember
Mm.
when few of my American friends, in the middle of the night, the time is difference.
Yes.
I used to sleep, and they used to call me in the middle of night, and I'm listening, and they're crying. And they're saying, are these stories are true? I said, yes, 100% true stories. And many a publisher refused. They said, ma'am, we cannot publish your stories because we can be claimed, we can be, or you should, beef up your security outside your home, because you are writing true stories about the people who are in power in Pakistan, or who are in power in India. Or
Yeah.
I traveled to India, to Italy, to Europe, and I collected those stories which were not highlighted by the police or the social society.
Mm.
So when I wrote those stories, those are heart-throbbing, heart-touching stories. I hope, or I wish to present you that novel, or maybe it's in the Sundenton Library. So my writing started with the true facts, like a women voice, the women who don't have a voice. I wanted my pen to be devoted to them. So all my novels are based against the crime against Muslim folks or other
Yeah.
folks across the globe. All my novels are historical novels. Two of them are the historical novels. In the history, I am narrating, and all other three novels are about the crime against women across the globe.
Yes.
So yes, my poet, this philanthropy works, this human right works, hugely impacted. I think 60% of my work, my poetry, novels, my article as journalist are devoted to raise voice for the plight of women who are being stigmatized, tortured in the name of caste, creed, culture, and
Mm.
religion. And 40% of my poetry, which is a latest development in my poetry, that my last 30 40 books, 30% of books are devoted to like a spiritual mystic poetry, which you call divine poetry, because
Yes.
now I get lost into my divinity. So I think that influence is now half of my poetry is about the injustice of social injustice against
Yes.
humanity, against
Yes.
women. 20% are romantic poetry. And now I believe that the 20-30% dominated as a spiritual mysticism,
Mm.
praise of God, praise of divine. So in these
That's
70
why,
books, you will
yeah.
find,
That's why your
yeah,
writing is unique. It's exciting because it's a mix of everything. You are not focusing on only one area. There is, like people can choose whatever it is that they like to read, and they will find it in in Farzana's writing. So that is quite amazing. And I noticed that some of your books are people can download them for free. You have
yes,
made it like that for free. So why is
yes,
that you are, like it's hard to get those these days. You have
yes.
to pay to download. Why did you make some of your books downloadable for free?
Okay. It's a very beautiful question. It's very close to my heart, actually. And I actually want to tell the entire world that I have devoted my life to the cause of literature now.
Mm.
And I have promised, I have one daughter. And one day I was talking to my husband. There are hundreds of thousands of copies of my books are being published,
Mm.
and hundreds of thousands of copies are being distributed across the globe, because in,
Globe,
I
yes.
think, 30 libraries across the globe have started my section. And these countries have somehow me in their university in their MPhil program.
Yeah.
So whenever a new stock come, I have to send them the 100 or 150 copies for the libraries, and then in the local universities of Pakistan. So my publisher who take the international right from my books, because poetry in our part of, or in across the globe, it's not the like novels. It's not sold very well. They
Mm.
are very less buyer or reader about poetry.
Yes.
So when they take contract with me, they make contract of few thousand copies, which they distribute online or whatever their sources are. Rest of the book which I gift, I publish from my own pocket.
Yes.
I pay
Okay.
my publisher for that.
Okay.
That give me each book I need 10,000 copy. Each book I need 20,000 copy. If 10,000 copy into 12 books every year, and then that courier charges, it's a game of hundreds of thousands of rupees.
Yeah.
And I have make a trust. Your United is my organization, which is a free trust. I give scholarship for all the student in Pakistan, especially across the globe also. In the universities, anybody who wants to do MPhil or PhD on my books, they get their tuition fees, and they get the parcel of my 100 books or 70 books, double copy. Sometimes they ask
Yeah.
local copies. So I'm author of 100 books, because I have Urdu poetry also, and I have my journalistic articles also. So it's a parcel of 100 books, and it's a fees and courier charges. So hundreds of boxes are going TCS or DHL across the globe. I was talking to my husband, and I said, I have one daughter. She's studying in UK.
Mm.
She's just done her master's. And she says, Mom, you don't have to worry about me. You taught me, that is the only gift you could give me.
Yes.
So now I devoted all my assets, all my income, whatever I'm generating, whatever sources I have. I have promised myself that I will not make money from books.
That's
I will not.
Amazing.
I will not sell my books. Many libraries offered me check. Many universities said that we want to present you check against your gifts, but I said no. I will not, because this gift is not mine. This is
yes.
Yes.
something
It just
coming
flows.
from
Yes.
somewhere, and
Yeah.
I can afford it.
Sure.
Sure.
And God has given me power to, I can publish. And Penny, one thing I want to mention, you will love it, and I loved it. One day, I asked my publisher, I said, okay, you have the copyright, and when I tell you that give me 10,000 copy of each books, every
Yeah.
year you are increasing price for that.
Yeah.
And he said, ma'am, look, in Pakistan, for a local copy, paper is become very expensive, because dollar in Pakistan has become very expensive.
Yeah.
And he said, every year dollar is increasing, so I'm sorry, I have to raise. So I said, okay, but where is the paper you have in your stock market, and in your stocks, and where is? He said,
Yeah.
you yourself made paper expensive. I said, how come? He said, because every year there are hundreds of thousands of your books are publishing in Urdu Bazaar. We have that area which is named Urdu Bazaar. And he said, hundreds of thousands of books are being published, hundreds of thousands of binder there, hundreds of thousands of jacket.
Yeah.
And he said, you, ma'am, don't know how much, how much job you have
You are
created
created for
with
us.
your gift. And he said, poor people are everyday binders, and hundreds of people are
Yeah.
involved. So when I heard this, I said, oh my God, maybe this gift is coming, because there are hundreds of workers in the Urdu Bazaar, paper binding and making my book, and, printing out. Many labors are involved into it.
Yes.
So this is a miracle. Maybe it's going where or coming where, unless or until it's
Yeah.
coming, or unless I'm affording it. I will keep writing, and I will keep publishing,
Mm.
and I will keep giving gifts to the world free.
Hey, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. The other thing I wanted to ask you also, between 2020, that's when you started writing a lot of books. This is now a general question because you find that people, when they get to a certain age, you're like, you feel like that age that you are late to do whatever it is you want to do. Like people are like, I'm in my
Yeah.
30s, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I can't do anything. And you just started when at that time, 2020, and has
Yes.
written 60 to 70 books within that short space of time. So, like, this is
Yes.
a general question, not even as related to writing. What will be your advice to somebody who feels like I'm late, to start this, something like that? So, what advice would you give
Yes.
that
Yes.
person? Yeah. What advice would you give me? I'm saying, okay, I should
What
have
I believe,
started
Penny,
this.
lovely. Yes, lovely, lovely, beautiful question. Yes, I think, Penny, when we are born and we are raised, there is so much pressure in our youth. We go through so much pressure. We
Hmm.
have to we have to
Mhm.
the provider of their food and their everything. So by this time, 40, 50 years of our life passed like this,
Yes.
and we don't get enough time for our creativity. But at 40 plus or 50 plus is circumstantial. You get a new birth. When your kids are grown up, they are
Mm.
settled, they are gone, they are married. Once again, you get a rebirth, and once again, you feel young. That is actually the time for the best creativity of life. Why? Because at the wisdom at 40s is so much than the wisdom at 20s.
Yes.
Wisdom at 50 is so much,
It's so much
and there is
different. Yeah.
so much time. You feel free, you feel retired. You don't find anything to pass your time. That is the high time, I think, for any person. I think, had it been 20 years back when my child was young and I was active with my other things, maybe I couldn't have get time to write 2 or 3 books a month. But
Mm.
now I am sitting in a luxury. My husband is a provider to me. My servants are serving me. My daughter is busy in her own life.
Own
What I
life.
have,
Yeah.
only time and my creativity. So I think we should all, my suggestion to all the ladies and all the men who are
Mm.
in their 40s or 50s and who have just find time in their life, they should see that this is now the time to fulfill their dreams, which they have left
100%.
far behind underneath their responsibility. Now they should dug
Yes.
those debris and take out dreams, give them air, and then they should, throw them into the air, give them the wings, and attain whatever you want.
Yes, 100%. You said it so well. I think, yeah, there's
Yeah,
the society, the pressures and everything. And this time in a person's life is when you focus on yourself, that what is it that I want for
yeah,
myself. Then people must then do those things. Don't feel like it's late now. Don't listen to that noise. Block the noise and tell yourself that this is my time now. This is me now doing this for me. So what you said now is quite powerful, and I wish a
yeah.
lot of women can actually hear some what you are saying just now. It's very, very important, quite, quite, quite important. What I wanted to find out on your books, which one would you say is looking at all of them, that you will say, this one is my favorite, whether it's a book, whether it's a novel, whether it's poetry, whatever it is. Which one would you say? This one here. Which one?
um, okay, I ask you a question. You are mother of 4 or 5. If I'm mother of 4 or 5,
Yeah, I'm a mother
even
of
the,
three years. Yeah.
my ugliest my ugliest child, or my poorest child, or my incapable child, even if somebody would ask me that which child of yours is your favorite, I
I
would say
get you.
all. I think for a writer, everything is, but yes, just given to the circumstances, or given to the learning process. The more, that's what I said, every year there's so much knowledge is inducted into ourselves. There's so much learning process is never ended. So I
Mm.
believe every year we are more maturer, every year we are more learned than the past previous year. So I am also learning. I think if I would suggest, I would rather suggest that take the latest copies of my books, because I feel that my selection of wording, my way of prescribing, with every poem, the next poem is more mature. With every book,
Okay,
next mature
okay,
poem
okay.
is more. So I would suggest that they should buy the latest one, although they're all very close to my heart, but every year there is more maturity, there's
I've
more
heard
learning,
that.
there's
I've heard
more
that from,
new experiment.
yes.
Yeah.
I've heard that from a lot of writers as well, that their writing has changed, like changed throughout the years. So if maybe they've written, let's just say they've been writing for 10 years, they will say, it's like wine. That is like, like keep on getting the best and best as years goes by. So they will say that, what I'm writing now, looking back at what I've written couple of years ago, it's way different. It's like my writing is so much like escalated. It's changing each and every year. So I think that's
Yes.
basically what you're trying to say,
Yes.
as well. So yeah, appreciate that. You
Yes.
recently released
Yes.
a book, Mohammed.
Absolutely.
You released Mohammed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna be reading it. I'm starting with it. So yeah, I just wanted to find out your thoughts on the book. What are your thoughts? What should we expect
Yes.
from the book? Yes. It's your latest release. What can
This
we
is,
expect?
yeah, latest release, and this is the one of my history book. I have written history into this book. So this book is actually the entire history and journey of Islam, even from Abraham time, from the
Okay.
age of elephants, which relates to every religion. So
Mm.
this is the journey of the religion, including Christianity and everything. It's from the ignorant era of the mankind, starting from there, till the light of prophethood, and till the light of the good deeds on the world.
Mm.
Why I felt like writing this book? Because there is so much, I believe, misconception. You know, social media is abused by so many people, and pen is also abused by many people. There are true historians, there are true critics, and again there are some biased critics. There are some, people who are trying to create, uncertainty and fear and rage among
Mm.
the mankind.
Yes.
But I believe that pen should be the purpose of peace. Pen should be used to calm down the mankind. Pen should be the rose between the wars, not to escalate wars.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in the recent few decades, many religions were targeted, and Islam was the only religion which was the targeted the most. And many journalists in the Europe has written bad things about the reverend and holy personalities. And the beautiful thing about Islam is that we are taught that unless we will not have faith into all the religious books, divine books, or divine prophets like Jesus Christ, and like Judaism and everything, unless we will not say they were prophets from God, our religion is incomplete. So
Mm.
we have to respect all the prophets, and you will never hear any Muslim across the globe writing against and targeting any prophet of any religion.
Yes.
So what I felt is, I said, okay, I have to write it, and I have to show the true personality and true journey of this religion, why this religion came on earth, and why from time to time various prophets came on the earth. They came on the earth to bring peace, to tell the
Yes.
message of God, and they told us the beautiful message. So this book is just to for the new generation that or in written in English, that come forward and read it. What prophet was Muhammad, peace be upon
Mohammed,
him,
yeah.
what the era was, and what were the wars, and what was the reason. So I hope this book, maybe with the poetic rhythm, may attract the people across the globe and
Mm.
may tell them that who Muhammad, peace be upon him, actually was. And though he doesn't, that reverend and holy personality of all prophet doesn't need us to elaborate their karmas and elaborate their high places in divinity, but yet still, as a writer, I pay tribute to Islam because I'm born in Islam. But I told you that my journey don't end here. I have to pay tribute to the Buddha, Lord Buddha also. I have to pay tribute to the Jesus also. I have to pay tribute to the Musis also because I have faith in them and I have to write history. And that's all.
Yes, yes, 100%. So, what will be your advice on to like this is the question I normally ask all people that are on that comes to my podcast. I normally ask them about the young people. What will be your advice to aspiring writers, like young youth out there that wants they are looking at you and they can see you've won so many awards, by the way. I've seen you on so many different platforms being recognized, for your contribution and those kind of things. And thank you so much. Your social media is buzzing, so we can get so many things about you so very easily. So yeah,
Yes.
so I've seen you in so many countries, being awarded some like awards and being recognized, and they're looking up to you. They are saying, you've made it. You have like global footsteps in so many places. So what will be your advice to them? They want to be like Fazana. Like there is Fazana, so now you're becoming an idol, and people are looking up to you. So
Yeah.
what would you say to them? What must they do? Because there's so much pressure these days for them to actually get on with what they want, like now. You understand? They have that mentality as well, that we need to get something like now,
Yes.
like yes. So there's that pressure.
Yes.
So what would be your advice to them?
Yes,
Yeah.
Penny. Yes. My journey wasn't that easy, Penny. My journey wasn't that easy journey. It was a very tough journey. Born in a traditional family, there were so many restrictions in my life.
Mm,
Although I was favorite of my father, but still, there were fears that in society that there were many times when I rose to the occasion. And when I got the recognition, then suddenly my father got another turn and said, "No, you have to stop it." There were many professions. Like, for instance, I was very young and I was very talented, and there was a big television show for the youth, and they have made me the prime time anchor person of that Pakistan television, and my show ran for 2 years, and it was the main show, and
mm,
people were there was a hype about my show. And after that show ended, first my father was not willing. Then when he was made convinced that it is a very learning show, it's not a fashion show, it's about the talented people of the world and celebrities she has to interview, so he agreed. But when that show ended and I became actually star at the very early age, I was in a early college days. When I became the star and my class fellows started getting interviews, people started recognizing me on the streets. Suddenly, my father passed the order that you will not do any other TV show. And
mm,
there were the whole list and offers on my table. I was at very early age earning money. I was being famous. I was being recognized. And my father said, "No, you cannot. This was your first and last program." I forgot. Then I was selected for the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. I was Secretary General. I was made deliver speeches with the Prime Minister of Pakistan as a
mm.
Secretary General. I was made to deliver speeches with the United Nations President if they are visiting
Yes.
Pakistan. Then I was offered a very good position at very young age. I was made boss in a very big publishing house. I was sitting in my dynamic office, And after 1 or 2 years, when I was earning a lot and I was making my name in journalism, suddenly
Mm.
my father thought that journalism is not safe for the girls. And he just passed the order, no, you cannot do anything. I was sitting at home doing nothing. Then I was made to get married. I got married. Then my husband turned out to be a very big sports celebrity. When after
Mm.
marriage, I asked him that shall I start my journalism again, media, news channels. There's so many news channels. Shall I resume? He has shown me the reluctance
Mm.
that maybe you are my wife now. People will look you with the other they might harass you. They might so I stopped. Then I give birth to my daughter. I was busy raising her, but my talent was there. My satisfaction was not there.
Mm.
And writing was my passion from the journalism. I started writing novels. I started writing journalism's books. So
Yes.
Yes.
that journey continue, and now you see me where I'm
Yes.
standing.
Now we
So
hear.
what now my suggestion would be that there can be pockets in time, there can be hardship, there can be circumstances where you are busy, but never give up your dream.
Mm.
Always pursue your dream, maybe 2 step or 3 step or maybe marathon. Where you find a gap of marathon, run. Where you find a gap of trudging, trudge. Where you find a gap of strolling, stroll. But never stop your journey, and
Yes.
try to start your journey as early as you can, because with passage of time, as we talked earlier, that you will write first, you will make first painting, or you will write first article, or you will part in a drama first performance. You are on the stage first time. Do it. There'll be a time after many years when from all those mistakes you will learn, and you will become the virtuoso of your own
Of your
destiny,
own,
and you will be
yes.
the man.
What has been
So
your
never stop your journey. That's my advice.
Oh, thank you so much, Fazana. Gosh, I'll take that myself as well. What I wanted to ask you is, what has been the most recognition or an award that you've received that this was you were like when you looked at it or when you were recognized, at that platform, it touched your heart. It was like, what,
Yeah.
I've done it, I've made it, something like that that you will not forget, that stands out for you, that what, this, whether it's in your country or it's in a different country where you were recognized, and it's something that's very close to your heart, that you've achieved that. What has been your greatest achievement, in terms of being recognized as well, your recognition?
Yes. The greatest achievement is so far my going to be 70 books. So right now
Yes.
60 and 10 are soon going to be launched. Greatest achievement is my writing history first time in the world. I have made 3 to 4 world record, which we have confirmed from many world record holding platforms. We have asked them that do you have the existing? So they have said no. So my highest achievement is my highest number of English poetry books in the world in the shortest time, second record.
Mm.
And third, I'm being the first historian in the world who's writing history into the poetry. Already
Yes.
3 books I have written in history. Desert Dune and Divine, Muhammad, and this 99 Miracles of Love. So these 3 books are the history books I have written in poetry. These are my achievements, but I have to go a long way, Penny. Minimum target is 100 books.
Sure.
Maximum is until this
You
miracle is
almost
happening.
there. You almost there.
Secondly, the highest honor is yet to become. All the all the honors, yes. This only 2024. The only this year in my mini world tour, I have got 15 diplomatic honors. 15 countries ambassadors have invited me into their embassies, into their country, and they have given me their state honor. So I think I have never seen any writer before me
That's
that who
amazing.
has got the 15
Mm.
diplomatic
That's
state honors.
amazing. Yeah.
Then and SARC country is a group of countries. They have given me in their SARC in Colombo. They have given me the gold medal. Turkey has given me their state honor. UAE has twice given me their state honor. USA has given me state honor. Russia, yes. One thing which was very beautiful, which I want to cherish, the Russian Federation, Russia has given me the title the Poetess of the East, and they
Wow.
have given me the Alexander honor, Alexander Pushkin honor, and they have celebrated me in their Russian house and in their embassy. So Russia has given me two honors. Turkey has given me, Malaysia, Indonesia, so many countries, you name it, and that honor is there.
Yes, that's
So, and in,
amazing.
I
Yeah.
came to South Africa. I was not expecting. Then again in South Africa, I have got the indirect honors like there's the Sandenton Library, and then the ambassador, and the two literature organization, and then your honor. So everyone is celebrated me so much. I believe I'm very blessed. I believe that my journey is just started. Believe you me, I have
Wow.
what my desire is that before leaving this world, I want that my books are in every and each library of the world. And I wish that before leaving this world, this satisfaction that I am left on the shelf of the globe,
That's yeah.
that would be my highest achievement.
That is funny enough. We've come to the end of our show. How and funny enough, you've touched on the question that I was gonna ask you. My last question to you. That's how would you like to be remembered in 100 years from now? How would you like Fazana to be remembered? What is that thing that you want to leave behind? That was my last question, and you touched on it just now. And you seem to be making a mark for yourself, a big mark. So, what would you like to be remembered as? If somebody is talking about Fazana, how, like in a sentence, would you like to be described?
Don't make fun of me, but yes, we should see the big dreams. And I believe that what we believe, what we demonstrate, divine superpower, God is there to give you. You just have to
Mm.
ask and work into that direction. Yes, I would love to be known as the most successful virtuoso English historian, poetess of the world, spiritual, divine poetess of the world who loved his Almighty, who had the faith in Almighty. I want to be remembered like the greats, or more like the Shakespeare, or more like the greats of
Mm.
the English poetry. That will
Yes,
be my
that's
dream.
amazing. That is amazing. And the pace that you are going, you get there. You will definitely get there and you will definitely make your mark.
Inshallah.
So thank you so much for
Inshallah.
your time. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time. We've come to the end of our show. It's been an amazing conversation with you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having to build a relationship with you going further. And next time when you are in SA, I will definitely meet you. I'll definitely
Why
meet
not?
you in person. So yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you,
ladies and
Penny.
gentlemen. This is our seventh episode of Bookmark Conversations with Farzana Aqib, and she's all the way from Pakistan. It's been such a pleasure to speak with her, and we wish you all the best in your writing. And thank you so much for your time today. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye. Hi, guys. Okay, we've come to the end of our show with Fazana Akib. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please comment or subscribe and tick those like buttons. Okay, thank you so much.